Welcome to Christiana's Psychic Cafe. This is our Samhain Spectacular. Today's date is November 3rd. This is a pre-recorded show. Over the past few weeks, I spoke with a number of people, asking them about their thoughts, memories, and creative endeavors regarding this very special time of year. We're going to talk to poets, musicians, witches, writers, all kinds of people, and they're going to share their creativity with us, along with their thoughts, traditions, and ideas as we celebrate this special time together. Now, I have to tell you, I have always loved Halloween. Long before I was following this spiritual path, long before I understood the spiritual significance of Halloween or Samhain, I love to dress up in costumes. I love to go trick-or-treating. My mother was like the world's best costume maker. Every year she came up with a creative idea, usually around August. She'd sort of say, I was having a thought about what you could be for Halloween this year. And she would come up with these wonderful costumes that were comfortable to wear. That was always my thing. It had to be comfortable to wear. I loved trick-or-treating. I loved the candy. And then when I got older and I had children of my own, I loved going trick-or-treating with them. Spiritually, when I came to understand that Samhain was the witch's new year, the time when the veil between the world of the living and the world of the dead was at its thinnest, allowing for communication between the spirits and the celebration of the final harvest. I really enjoyed celebrating all of those things in ritual. I've had the opportunity to lead very large Samhain celebrations and very small, intimate celebrations. It's something that I always really enjoy. Now, October 31st, of course, is the cross-quarter day between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. Samhain is celebrated during this time. Some people celebrate it on October 31st. Some people celebrate it a little earlier or a little later. I thought today would be a great time for us to get together and celebrate Samhain. Now, my first guest is a musician. In fact, he's a pagan musician. We're going to speak with him about the holiday for a few minutes, and then we're going to share a video of one of his songs. And I'll tell you, I don't think there's enough great pagan music in the world. Alexian has CDs, videos. He also teaches music worldwide over Skype. So his web address is on the screen during the interview. Definitely check him out, check out his music, and support pagan music. For our first guest for our Samhain Spectacular, we have Alexian. Welcome, Alexian, to Christiana's Psychic Cafe. How are you?
Thank you, Mary Meet. Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is my great pleasure, Mary Meet, to you. We were just discussing off camera that we've not met before, and so this is a great opportunity for us to get to know each other.
That's
Tell
right.
me and everyone else who you are and what you do.
Well, I am a musician. I have a degree in music from Berklee College of Music, and I thought I was going to be a rock and roll star. But then I found my spirituality, which is paganism and specifically Alexandrian Wicca. I studied with one of the initiates of the first Alexandrian Coven of the United States, and basically became initiated, got into the craft, and ended up graduating from Berkeley in Boston and moving to Central Florida. So I've been here in Central Florida ever since. I do have my own coven, Twisted Oak. And we're a very active group. We're constantly doing something. So, High Priest of Alexandrian Wicca, musician, recording artist, goofball.
And I have to say, whenever I think about some of those more staid, what I see is more staid traditions of Wicca, Alexandrian, Gardnerian. I really expect black robes, and I'm looking at you, and you're wearing a tie-dye, and you got colors all behind you, which is, kind of what appeals to me. I'm eclectic Wiccan, and I really like a lot of color in what I do. So I'm thinking my concept of Alexandrian Wicca may be a little skewed. Am I right?
Well, we have that stigmatism around us, but it's not like that at all. Of course, we're not in ritual right now, but
Understood.
I'm not in ritual robes. But yeah, I mean, traditionally the robe would be black and all of that. But you'll find that in any tradition of Wicca, that there are people from many different walks of life, financially, culturally, and it all melts together. When you're in the circle, it doesn't matter. You're just a human being.
Absolutely. So we're here today to talk about Samhain. Tell us what you do for Samhain and what it means to you.
Well, Samhain, of course, is a very special Sabbat. It is one of the high Sabbats. There are 8, for those who don't know, there are 8 seasonal celebrations a year, 4 lesser Sabbats, which are the equinoxes and the solstices, and 4 greater Sabbats. The greater Sabbats are actually the height of the season. So Samhain, which looks like Samhain, if you read it, it's Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain, which is Gaelic, is the height of fall. So this is the last harvest of the season. This is when all of the crops have been gathered, and traditionally in the old days, when it was cold and snowy, they knew they couldn't keep the cattle fed throughout the winter, so they would end up slaughtering some of the cattle, and there was a big feast. It's a big feast celebration, but at the same time that this huge party and feast is going on, it's also a time of honoring the ancestors and going back and in Mexico they call it the Day of the Dead. It's all around the planet in one form or another. It's very, very interesting to study different cultures throughout time. Cultures from the ancient times that had no contact with each other. They feel these energy ebbs and flows, and it became a custom. So Samhain in traditional Wicca comes from the Celtic, of course, and it is a time of going within. It's a time of honoring the ancestors, and it's also a party and a celebration. So traditionally within our group, of course, we have our ritual, our meeting, our ritual in our spiritual circle, and then afterwards we have a big, huge potluck feast with lots of merriment.
Nice, nice. Now, you're a musician. Do you bring music and chanting into ritual?
I think I do more than most, actually. Because I am a musician, I like to sing. I like to sing a lot. We'll sing a lot within our group, a cappella. I'm constantly learning new chants and songs and teaching them to the group. And we use those. Sometimes we'll do circle completely sung. Sometimes we'll do circle completely quiet. Because silence is where it all comes from. It is the beginning and it is the end, right? All sound arises from silence and all sound returns to silence. And you can think about that on many different levels.
Sure. Now, you and I connected on Facebook. I have to say, Facebook has become like the hub of everything that I do. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in this case, it's a good thing.
It's
and on
convenient.
Facebook, it is. On Facebook, you're known as Lord Alexian. Can you explain that title?
Well, the title Lord is bestowed upon a traditional Wiccan once they become an elder, which is 2nd degree or higher. And I'm a 3rd degree high priest of my coven. But to be honest, the reason I use it on Facebook is because Alexian was already taken. Who knew there was another Alexian? But apparently it's a popular name in some southern hemisphere cultures, Spanish cultures, Alexian, which is Alex, A-L-E-X, with an I-A-N. Alexian. And so because it was already taken, I had to use my title to get a unique Facebook spot, which is Lord Alexian. So that's the only reason I use that in public. You know, I think that it puts a lot of people off when they see the Lord and they think, ooh, Lord Alexian, you know, but it's not like that at all. I'm very approachable and down to earth, so come by and say hi sometime.
Absolutely. Now, you've given us permission, I'm very grateful for this, to play a musical video that I think will really set the tone for our Samhain celebration. Can you set this video up for us?
Well, Cool to Be a Witch was written, I was sitting at the piano one day in my apartment at the time, and I had some Wiccan friends over, and we had just done some magic, and we were relaxing, and things felt really good, and one of my friends just said, "It's cool to be a witch. It's so cool to be a witch." And I went, oh my God, what a great song title, you know. So I sat down at the piano, and literally within 10 minutes, the song had written itself. It's one of those songs that just channel through you. You don't really, you know, take, you know, credit for writing it. It comes through you. But that song was originally on my original album in '92 as a Boogie Woogie Blues. And recently, I think a couple years ago, I re-recorded it as a digital dance. So it's a pagan dance song now. And then it was begging for a video. And things happened by coincidence. You know how that works.
Sure.
There's no such thing as coincidence. I had met a guy that I directed in a musical. I do a lot of musical work in the local area. And he became a film student. And so he's studying film at the local university. So we got together and we decided to collaborate along with my partner, Victor, and we all came up with this incredible video. I'm very blessed with the ladies who agreed to be in the video. They're dear friends of mine. And in fact, the crazy wacky witch that plays the guitar in the video is the voice of What a World, What a World. She's the one from the original recording from '92. Yeah. So she got to be in the video as well. But we had a lot of fun. We shot it in a house that's local here in Orlando, Florida. And it's a very old house that a friend owns. And it was shot at night. And although it looks like we're cool and comfortable, they have no air conditioning. So it was like 90 degrees, and we were all dying of heat exhaustion. The girls' makeup kept melting off their faces. It was great fun. So I hope you enjoy it. It's cool to be a witch.
Alexian update complete.
When I'm flying through the air on my broom, I like to zoom down the chimney to my living room. I hop right off and I begin to cook. I toil and I trouble from a big black book. It's easy these days with the microwaves that be. It's cool to be a witch in this situation. those unsightly warts begin to appear and get in the way of your secret career. Here's some advice from me to you. Annihilate them, macerate them, whatever you do. Pop over to the corner, drug down, let me tell. They got some stuff there, you know it works so well, yeah. It's cool to be us. It's cool to be us. Wah, 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 wah. It's cool to be us. It's cool to be us. What a world, what a world. It's cool to be us. Just hang out with me, you'll see it's cool to be a witch in this century, yeah. Go, go, go on the broomstick. Go, go, go on the broom. Go, go, go on the broomstick. Go, go, go on the broom. Go, go, go on the broomstick. Go, go, go on the broom. Now if you see us walking down that long boulevard, introduce yourself, it's not very hard. We're the ones with the smiles on our face, the funky jewelry, crystals, tarot cards in a case. We'll try and help you however we can. To find some peace of mind. A job. It's cool to be young. It's cool to be young. Wow, 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 wow. It's cool to be young. It's cool to be young. What a world, what a world. It's cool to be young. Just hang out with me, you'll see it's cool to be a witch in this century. Well, wing of bat, eye of news, a pointed hat and pointed boots, a cackling laugh, nothing will cure. This is what we must endure. But have you seen our new cars today? Hybrid brooms and we're headed your way. Yeah, it's cool to be young. It's cool to be young. Wow, 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 wow. It's cool to be young. It's cool to be young. What a world, what a world. It's cool to be young. Just hang out with me, you'll see it's cool to be a witch in this century. Well, if you learn anything about witches today, just know we're not bad, we're just stereotyped that way. What a world, what a world, what a world.
It is cool to be a witch. Now, Alexian will be joining us for a full feature interview at the end of November here on the Psychic Cafe, and I know everyone's going to be very excited to see what he has to say about his life, his work, and his music. Now, I want to introduce you to another guest. This is someone that many of you know. Joanne Matthew is a tarotist from Connecticut. She makes great tarot bags. She also writes some really terrific poetry about tarot and about the different spiritual times of the year. She's coming on with us to share some of her memories about Halloween and Samhain and to share one of her Halloween poems and a couple of seasonal tarot spreads. So get your tarot cards out and get ready to do some Samhain tarot reading. With me on the phone is Joanne Matthew. Joanne, thanks for being part of Christiana's Psychic Cafe. How are you today?
I'm fine today. How are you?
Terrific. So we're here to talk about Halloween, Samhain, All Hallows Eve, that very special time when the veil that separates the world of the living and the spirit world is at its thinnest. And I thank you so much for being part of this special show.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Well, it is my great pleasure. So I wanted to start by asking you about your experiences of Halloween as a child.
Well, there were five of us, me and my sister, and there were three cousins. And back in those days, it was fun. Stores would sell little wax pumpkins and little Halloween type wax items. And the intention was that everyone knew you were going to go wax the store windows and everything. And it was expected, and it was all innocent fun. We would go door to door, and because there were five of us, we all had a number. My sister, being the oldest, would give us all a number. And after we left every house, we had to count down, make sure we were all there. And it was fun in those days. And then when I got older, I had a younger brother that I used to take out trick-or-treating, and that was even more fun. But now I've gotten a greater appreciation of what Samhain and Halloween actually means.
Yeah, it does change things. So let me go back to the childhood thing first. Did you wear costumes?
Yes, we did. And the only picture that I have of those days is one of Vanya dressed as Woody Woodpecker and me as Bugs Bunny. And to this day, I still love Bugs Bunny.
That's awesome. And the candy. Obviously, the whole thing about Halloween and trick-or-treating was getting candy. What was your favorite?
Just about everything. I've never been a big candy person.
Right?
It was more the fun of it that I liked.
Sure. So when did you become aware of Halloween as Samhain, as an actual spiritual holiday?
After I got into tarot, and I started learning more about tarot and paganism and Wiccan and a little bit of everything that I've learned. And like I said, I've gotten a greater appreciation of what it actually means and what it means to me.
And what does it mean to you?
Although I talk to spirits all the time, it's a chance when you really feel that connection at this time of year.
Sure. And when you say you talk to spirits all the time, can I ask you to elaborate on that?
Well, everything I do, I walk around the house. When I have a problem, I'll talk to my family, and I'll talk to whoever and whatever is around me that wants to listen. And if they want to give me a sign or an answer, I'm open to that. Or I'll go to my tarot cards and I'll ask. And I just feel like I'm constantly surrounded by spirits. I think they've gotten me where I am today.
Sure. Beautiful. So one of the things I really appreciate about you, Joanne, is you are a writer. You write some great tarot stuff and some great seasonal poetry, and I'm so proud that you publish a lot of that on my community blog, Tarot Topics. And I was hoping that you would share one of your poems about this holiday with us.
I would be happy to.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, let me see. Which one do I want? Halloween night. From high above the raging sea, that twisted house called to me. As I sat at their table sipping tea, the ghost and goblins smiled with glee. Black cats and bats all played together, and Raven offered me a feather, a symbol of the world unseen until the night of Halloween. The veil between worlds is now so thin, allowing me to walk right in to a world of spirits from the past, alive this night but not to last. For when this time ends, it seems, I will only see them in my dreams. They will always be within my sight, in dreams that comfort me at night. Until next Halloween, Raven, my friend, merry meet and merry part and merry meet again.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'd like to prevail upon you to share one other thing, another thing. And, it's funny to me to think that there was a time when I know you that you didn't read tarot. because I always think of you as like one of my best tarot buddies. And one of the skills that I see in you is the ability to create tarot spreads, and often you create seasonal tarot spreads. Now, we're going to share two of your Halloween spreads today, and people will be able to see the spreads on the screen as you're talking about them. But could you tell us a little bit about each of these spreads, what inspired them, and if you have performed them for yourself, and how they work for you?
I have done them for myself, and well, the candy cane one, the image just came really out of fun because the spread can be used at any time of the year for any purpose.
Right.
But I thought it would be fun to do it in a candy cane image.
Candy corn.
And the other one, the spirit spread, I think is much more personal.
Yes, it is. Talk to me a little bit about the positions that you've used for this spread.
Which one, the candy cane one or the...
The spirit spread.
Okay, the spirit spread. The first question is, what are your earthly concerns? That is whatever is bothering you, whatever you need an answer to, whatever is on your mind that you can't shake, and you need to go deeper than just an obvious answer.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads to the second question: what spirits do you feel around you? Now, I'm not one to just draw one card. Even if I do a 3-card spread, I will look at the top card and the bottom card, or I'll draw a couple other cards to clarify whatever I need to.
Right.
Well, that can be one card. It can be as many as you want. And the third question is, what advice do they give you? Pay attention to the cards that come up. That can also be multiple cards or one. And the fourth question is, what effect will their advice have on your future? So it's up to the person whether or not they want to take the advice, follow the advice, or what they do with it. But you have to weigh what will happen if I do.
Nice. I really like that. Now, talk to me a little bit. I know the candy corn spread is a lot simpler, but that's one of the things I like about it, is its simplicity. Tell us about that one.
Well, we start out with the bottom of the candy corn, the root problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have a root problem. We all have something we need an answer to. So that leads to the next level of the candy corn, what needs to change. And you draw the cards, and the top, obviously, is the outcome. And like I said, you can draw as many cards as you need to. I'm not one for big spreads, but I am definitely, I believe in picking cards to clarify. If you draw a card that you are confused about and you're not sure what it means, draw another card or two until you understand what the cards are telling you.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, Joanne, I want to thank you so much for sharing your poetry with us, sharing your tarot creativity with us, and sharing some stories from your childhood Halloween. And I hope, we're doing our Halloween show actually on November 3rd, so most of us have already done some Halloween celebrating, although for me it's certainly a season, not a day. And I hope it's been a fabulous season for you. And again, I thank you so much for being a part of my life and being a part of Christiana's Psychic Cafe.
Thank you very much, and blessed sailing to you.
You too. I hope you had a chance to try those tarot spreads and that you'll keep them in your repertoire, especially to use at this time of year. Next up, we have a story from emerging pagan writer Amanda Lee. With me on the phone is Amanda Lee. Amanda is an emerging pagan writer. How are you today, Amanda?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Very well, thanks. And thanks so much for being here with us on the Psychic Cafe. I'm so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It is, and now in the interest of full disclosure, I have to say you and I go back a really long, long way, and I
Really?
have a lot of personal pride in the work that you're doing right now because you used to hang out with me when you were 9 years old.
Oh, yes. Very, very little, moons ago, but.
So, talk to me before we hear your story. Talk to me a little bit. We're here in celebration of Samhain. Tell me your thoughts on Samhain. I know you have a little one now. Are you doing anything special for the holiday?
I'm going to do a little, I set up a little bit of remembrance to a few people that have passed away. And, she's a little bit too small right now, but, she sees the lights and, the little setup that I have going. And, she's starting to ooh and wow. And, it's very fun for her, And so I'm hoping to eventually make it a little bit more meaningful for her. And, we'll see how that goes. But sounds extremely important for me, and I wasn't going to even write anything, and I had seen that Gale Song had their contest going, and I surprisingly said, well, I'll just write something up quick and see how it goes, and it came out to be something that was somewhat decent, and I said, I'll just enter it and see what happens, and lo and behold, here I am.
Wow, well, that is really exciting. And I think there's a lesson there for all creative people that, sometimes you just got to do it, and Samhain is also the third and final harvest. So it's a good time for us to harvest our creativity and see what happens. So tell us about your story. What is the story you're going to share with us today?
Well, basically, it goes by the picture that they gave me. We could have had a poem, we could have written a short story. They gave us a very nice picture with two owls and three crystal balls, and it looks very, very, very not dark so much, but it's very rich, and it's very wonderful to look at a picture and be able to actually take from it and make a story. And I've only done it a couple times before, but I just used what was in the picture and, felt what it was telling me and decided to write from there.
Okay, let's hear your story.
Okay. And this is called The Spinning of the Veil. And this is by Amanda Lee. Not one, but three crystal balls. More than one is needed for this evening, as there are many different spirits and paths to talk to and hear from. The owls are there for sight, clarity, and wisdom. One skull for the offering, so that some may pass into this world while the veil is at its thinnest. I see quite a few candles and books, so as to attract even more wisdom to the scene. With a key around one owl's neck to possibly open the lockbox on which the other sits upon. It would seem to me that some spirits are already attempting to come through, as we all are aware that the veil is thinning as we sit here, said the witch to her consort. I'm not sure who or how many, but they mean us no harm and only wish communication, said the consort. When they finally come through, they are mainly looking for your acceptance. Many have passed on, and no others are here to talk to except for the other spirits. But not all can communicate with each other. They need us to tell their story, for this is the only time in which they can communicate with anyone, the witch explained. As the candles appeared to flare up, the wind outside started to pick up. I can't tell, but it seems that maybe two are coming through. Who could they be, and what is their story? I asked, not fully aware of what answer might await me. I had paid a decent amount to hear from a few of my relatives, and I expected to see something great come of this. How can you tell who it is, and, what makes you so sure? I questioned the witch and her consort. Well, it's more than a little complicated. There is more involved than you would imagine, my dear, explained the witch. I was hoping for a little more than a shrugging off of my question. It seemed easy to me, but then again, what would I know? They both continued to chant off and on, and would seemingly converse with each other through their facial expressions. Sometimes I would imagine what was being talked about. Other times I had no clue. Wait, exclaimed the consort. I think it's a distant relative of yours, but I can't be sure. You'll need to be more forthcoming with your information. You can't lie about anything, or the spirit won't be able to come through, which explained to me bluntly. Okay, okay. I wasn't expecting this to be so right on, and I didn't think it would really matter. I'm sorry. Yes, I do have ancestral witches in my family bloodline, I exclaimed excitedly. Well, Kaya, your message is very clear. You are of great importance to your family heritage, and it is solely up to you to keep the bloodline going, the consort explained. It should be taken into great consideration on your part. You have a big job ahead of you, Kaya, said the witch. And that would be the end of it for now.
Wow. I like it. I like it. So let me ask you, do you yourself, are you writing autobiographically here at all? Do you know of any of this in your bloodline?
Um, my mother practiced for a little bit, and as I had actually looked a little bit more into our ancestry, I've come to find out that I'm quite a mutt, but I also have Celtic roots, and I believe that upon if I were able to actually look further back, I might actually find something ancestral myself.
Sure.
It would be great to find out. It's a little hard to find out right now, but I do believe that, something deep down, even further away from, even my mother and my grandparents, and on both sides, actually, now that I, have found my father and talked to him and, talked to everybody on that side of the family. And it does seem, and after writing it, it seems to me that, it is a little bit, right on with myself and, coming to the realization of, myself and my path more and, why I'm actually going the route that I'm going.
It is always interesting when we recognize that our sense of calling is not just something from our imagination or something we saw on TV, but something that is, very innately within us.
Yes, definitely.
Well, now, so this story is entered in a contest. When do you find out how you did?
I found out actually on Samhain evening, I believe. But
Gotcha.
It'll be 3 hours behind because I think it's in Washington State.
Okay, so at the time of this show, you will know one way or the other, but at the time of this recording, we don't yet know.
No. I'm in second place as we speak, but that can change.
That's huge, Amanda. I mean, one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yes, and like I was telling my friends, it's not even so much about the monetary gain for me at this point. I had an elderly lady that, I've known since pretty much about the same age. I was actually quite younger than when I met you first, but she was kind of like a second grandmother to me, and she kind of helped me get into my path and books and nature, and writing this makes me realize that maybe she's coming through a little bit for me, and
sure.
She's probably pushing for me.
Wow.
And I didn't realize it until after I had written it, but it does make me gets the wheels turning.
Sure. And I think, regardless of win or lose within the contest, whenever we make that commitment to create and to create from spirit, we win.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story with us, and I hope you'll come back and visit us again.
Most definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. Take care. Next up, we have a conversation with one of our favorites here at Christiana's Psychic Cafe, Helene Martz. Helene Martz, it wouldn't be Samhain if you weren't here with us. How are you?
Hi, Christiana. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. I think every week someone mentions your name in the chat room. Sometimes they remember your name. They'll say, when's Helene going to be here? Other times just, when's that lady from New Jersey going to be here?
Well, I'm very grateful to everyone, and I'm grateful that I haven't stirred up too much controversy either.
Well, that's why we like you. We like the controversy. So this is our Samhain Spectacular, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But just in case there is one person watching who doesn't know who you are, go ahead and tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I am a psychic reader. I like to work with tarot. I wouldn't say I'm on the level someone like you would be with tarot. Tarot for me is more, I use it for my psychic abilities. You know, you look at the picture and I throw down a card and I'm like, who's the person with the butterfly tattoo? So it's a tool that I use. However, I do know how to read the tarot card. So we do have to say that. But again, I'm not the expert on tarot, but I'm a psychic reader. I do have mediumship abilities. And for lack of a better word, and this is why I guess I'm here today, I'm a practicing witch. I hate that word. I really do. But I guess that describes what I do. I work with herbs. I teach aromatherapy. I also do natural perfumery. And I teach classes on magic, basic magic. In my life, the way we live our life is a very spiritual and magical path. I'm a practitioner. My spiritual path is the sacred feminine, and it's really important to me, and I try to get the word out to those who are interested in it. And spirituality in general is really what kind of guides me. So I do readings, I teach classes on magic, and I teach classes on aromatherapy and perfume.
Perfect. Okay, so how does Samhain work into all of that? What does Samhain mean to you? How do you celebrate it?
This is one of the most important celebrations of the year for me, in my path and just in general. And I'm going to assume that people don't know what we're talking about here, okay? So, and I'm only going to assume this because I don't know what you've discussed prior to me. So, for those who aren't familiar, it's a Celtic celebration. The roots are in the Celtic people, and it's actually winter. It's the end of summer, it's the coming of winter, and it is the new year. And what's really interesting, if you think about it, is for the Celtic people, winter came in the heart, in the middle of the winter came the new year. By today's calendar, New Year is January 1st, but it also begins in the cold weather, in the winter. So, and it's a fire festival because the element of fire is what helped people to survive back in the middle of the winter. You needed that fire. So, there's a lot of really important energy to it. More so, it's a time of ancestor veneration. And that, for me, that's where my heart is in this holiday. And people celebrate it in a lot of different ways. In my household and in my past, the number one thing is the ancestors celebration, the veneration. And we have a huge altar, a table set up. And if I could get the computer, you would see it. But I will post some pictures on my Facebook page. And what I do is I have pictures of my family members, of friends who have passed over, of relatives, of friends, and I keep candles going for a week. And also, Samhain, I've even heard it, some people say Savon, Savine, I think it's Scottish. I don't know that one, yeah. Yeah, and of course you do know some people say Samhain, forget that one, people, right?
Right, anything else is fine.
Yeah, that's the bad one. But, so people come over and they're welcome during this whole week, which runs through to Day of the Dead, actually. And they can come and they can light a small candle for loved ones who've passed over. In my house, we do a traditional dinner. And then I hold a circle, I hold a ritual as part of my duties and my obligation on my particular path. And then the evening ends with divination. So divination is a really important part of this energy.
I love that. Tell me about the traditional supper.
Okay, so traditional supper, sorry vegans, but it's basically meat and potatoes. And because this celebration came from the Celtic people, I prefer to do a corned beef dinner. And we have a full dinner, soup to nuts. I start with a soup. I like to do an onion soup because, for the people at that time, it was easy, a potato soup or an onion soup. That's what they had available. We have the corned beef, we have a potato dish, we have something like cold can, and we do the cabbage. So I really keep it to the Celtic roots. And of course there's bread, because again, the harvest energy. Now there's something we do that's called a dumb supper. And so what that is basically is we set a place at the table for those who have passed over. And some people, very traditional, they don't speak during the meal. That's not going to happen in my house. Especially with me. But we do set the place to remembrance for those who have passed over. At the end of the meal and at the end of the service, I'm very fortunate. I have woods. I have a big piece of property. So then I bring the food outside and leave it for the animals. Because, it's an offering, but we do know the spirits aren't going to come down and eat the plate of food. So rather than it go to waste, this is my way of saying thank you. So I bring it out to the woods and we leave this plate for the animals. After we have the meal, then we have the ritual. I don't generally, in my magical workings, I don't generally cast circles. I don't know if you do or not, but this is one time when we do draw a circle and close the circle. And one of the reasons is the veil is really thin at this time of the year. And a lot of energies can come into this air, especially when we're working with spirit and calling spirit down. And I prefer to think of very good energy, but sometimes there is, negative energy.
Sure.
So by creating this circle, we're creating a protective space. And I don't know, how do you feel, but I really can feel the intensity and the spiritual energy this time of the year. Is like the veil being thin. A lot of messages come through. A lot of crazy things sometimes come through. What's your take on that?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I just did this past Saturday, I just did a psychic gallery for exactly that reason, that we would gather a whole lot of people together, and I worked to give messages from their ancestors, from spirit. Now, do I do this at other times of the year? Of course.
Yeah.
But at this time of the year, I think it's on one hand, it's honoring of the ancestors, but on the other hand, I wouldn't say that it makes my psychic work easier, because my psychic work is never difficult. But I would say that the depth of the messages, the ability of the people to receive the messages, it's the prime time for it. It really is. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so, but we do also have to kind of protect ourselves. We were just talking earlier about some crazy energies that we've been experiencing. I know my clients have been experiencing it. And this past weekend, I was actually hired by Macy's to do an event. And I'm like, how am I going to read sitting in Macy's? But what you just mentioned was absolutely amazing, because it was the mediumship that so came to the forefront. And I'm like, in this venue, because that really comes through better in the right space.
Sure.
So at this time of the year, the veil is really thin. So we do some protective things. And I have some particular favorite incense that I like to work with. I don't know about you, but one of the things I love for this time of the year is frankincense.
Oh, sure.
I adore frankincense for its spiritual energies and the smell and its cleansing, its purity. Patchouli is another big one, but when working with spirits, I really like to have the frankincense energy in the house.
Me too.
So we have, the circle, and it also manifestation. I don't know, I'm assuming that you're going to do some work too, because this is prime time.
Right.
And so one of the things we do, and I invite everybody to participate, is the getting rid of and the bringing. It's the duality of this time of the year. And so, and going back to the Celtic people, with the bonfires, they did burn or release a lot of energies that they believed in. Excuse me. I'm sorry, allergies. And so I tell everybody there are two candles, and I ask people to prepare ahead of time, a black candle and a white candle. Black candles are not bad, folks. I don't know if you get that, but a lot of people are afraid of black. And the black gets rid of the negative energy. So treating this as a new year, I ask everybody to really make an honest assessment of what you need to release in your life for the coming year. And you know what? It could be people that are not really helpful in your past, but it could be things within ourselves that we create. Like for me, you know what, dietary habits, I'm terrible with the sweets. I have to own that and say, well, if I want to lose weight, I have to give up the chocolate craving. So you have to really assess the situation, be honest. And so then we do a candle, and everybody would go and release that energy. And I actually have a cauldron. I'm sure you have one too. And so we have particular herbs in the cauldron, and we use the 7 traditional woods, which would be rowan and ash and oak. And so we have little pieces, and we actually burn on that piece of paper. We drop it into the cauldron, burn it, and then the candle burns down. After everybody's done that, we do a blessing. We have usually juice, apple juice, grape juice. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of wine, but we, have a little blessing, and of course the pomegranates, which I don't know if you guys smiling, right? And so everybody has a little bit of pomegranate, and then they do the manifesting, which is the white candle. And the way we do it, my path, my tradition, is you make the list of everything you wish to bring to fruition in the coming year. But this list you carry over till the next year. So when the next sowing comes around, you look at that paper beforehand. Well, what did I accomplish? What's doable? What do I need to work on in the next year? What do I need to release and let go of? So it's the combination of honoring those people that came before us and recognizing them, remembering even the ones we may not know, but we may have heard stories about, and manifesting in our own lives. So it really is a wonderful tradition, a wonderful, wonderful celebration. And that's what it means to me. That's how we spend it here.
Oh, that is beautiful. I want to thank you so much for sharing that with us. Hopefully you'll get a chance, perhaps not on when this airs, but in archive, to see everything put together. I think that you'll be pleased the way what you have had to say has fit in with what other people have had to say. You brought not a lot of redundance necessarily, just a very full, it's such a full holiday. There's so many, it's the new year, it's the final harvest, and it's the thinning of the veil. So it's got all of that packed into it. And it's just so nice to be able to connect with you and have you share your wisdom, your knowledge, your honoring of tradition, and your love for this holiday. I love this holiday too. And I'm so happy to be able to spend a piece of it with you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share that. And, to everyone, tradition is important. Even if you create your own traditions, we need tradition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Blessed be. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Our final guest for our Samhain Spectacular is Kim Wilborn of Guardian Gateway with a very special announcement. With me on the phone is Kim Wilborn of Guardian Gateway. How are you, Kim?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I am terrific, and I'm so grateful to have you with us for our Samhain Spectacular.
Yay!
Now, I know that we're going to be unveiling a very exciting telesummit. A lot of people will remember that you very recently produced the Spiritual Journey of Tarot telesummit, of which I was a part, and so many people enjoyed that. And you've got something new and exciting. But before we do that, since we are today celebrating the thinning of the veil, celebrating Samhain, I wanted to ask you about that. What does this time of year mean to you?
Oh, it's just such a wonderful time to tune in, to go within and really connect to all the energies that are always there for us, but we're so busy with our outer lives that we don't always tune in. So this time of year is such a great reminder, and an easier time for us to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, do you follow astrology at all?
I do.
So the thing that I think is really interesting is that, and I know Samhain is October 31st, but I really feel the veil, the thinning veil really from like the 20th of October right up to, November 5th or 6th or something. I think that energy is very present. But this year, that's also when Mercury is in retrograde.
Yes.
And I'm wondering what you think about that, how Samhain is this time for us to feel that connection with spirit, but here we are in Mercury retrograde where all the connections get messed up. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. When you take a deeper look at the Mercury retrograde, it's really the RE part that's significant. So it's a time to review, to, go back over. And so if you are interested in astrology and you know your own chart, you can look up and see where Mercury is going back and forth in your own chart. And really, for me, it's my work. The 10th house of career and my work in the world. So it gives me a chance to really reassess, reevaluate, tune in to the way I communicate, the way I think, and really get back to the essence of what it's all about and see where I may be off track. So that's kind of how I like to approach it.
That's brilliant. And I really appreciate your sharing that. And I think everyone else listening appreciates that as well.
And fingers crossed, because I am coming up with this whole new thing right in the middle of this. So
right, right. So tell us just a little, for those people who don't know, tell us just a little bit about you, about Guardian Gateway and what you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, I started off being a transformational intuitive coach and working with people, on a long-term basis in an office where they would come in and we would talk, and I would intuit what was at the heart of their issue, and then I would access, kind of download the solution and work with them with that. And I got really used to, I know that's something a lot of people can relate to, and I really got used to the feeling of my intuition and what it felt like. And the more I began to become aware of the different guardian energies, I was always in tune with the fairy energy and the angel energy. But the more I began to hear about other things that I thought were just made up things like unicorns and dragons, when I heard of them as healing energies, as actual beings on a different plane, but one that is interconnected with our own plane, my intuition the bells just went off, and I thought, oh my God, that's really real. It was a big surprise for me, but it became a huge part of my life, and I began to really work with these energies and have really come to dedicate my work to them. So when we did the Tarot Telesummit, it was really with the focus of connecting to the guardian energies. And this new telesummit will be the second in a series of Guardian Gateway telesummits. We did one at the beginning of the year, and this time we've got a lot of new speakers talking about the different high vibrational beings that we can create relationships with to really transform everything in our lives, because we really weren't meant to incarnate and do this all by ourselves. We really do have a team, and we can make that team bigger at any time. So we've got people showing us how to connect with angels, of course, but also the unicorn beings, not dolphins this time, that was last time, dragons, which is something that was really a revelation for me when I connected with that energy. Stone beings, we've got a wonderful woman talking about the stone beings. And we've got saints this time, which can also be really wonderful guardian energies that we don't often think of. And you are going to be talking about flowers, which I'm really
Flowers.
excited.
Yeah, well, and it's such an interesting thing too, and I really thank you for this, because as much as I work with flower energies on a number of different levels, I never really thought of them as guardian beings. But when we did the Tarot Telesummit, that was the whole way we were working with that, was the energies of each of the major arcana cards as actual guardians. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, what is a guardian?
Well, it's a benevolent energy that's here to help us fulfill our potential. And some of these energies are guardians. Most of them are guardians. Some of them are allies, like fairies are allies, so that we work together. But most of these actually are here to help us. They hold the blueprint of our, perfectly, beautifully, fully expressed potential. And when we connect with their energy, they help us to express it, and it feels so good.
Wow, that's very well put. So tell us about the Telesummit for those people who haven't participated in a Telesummit with you yet. How does it work?
Oh, it's so much fun. What you do is you register for free, and I think you're going to have a link to that on your
Yes.
site.
Right now, you can go to, well, not right now, after the show, you can go to my blog site, which is tarottrends.com. And all the information about how to register will be there.
Right. And then so you can register for free, and you'll get the call-in information that you can come to the call using your telephone or your computer, or you can Skype in and listen to each call. We'll have calls Monday through Friday for 2 weeks, and you'll have free replays for 48 hours for each call. So if you don't want to make the call live or you have to miss one, you can listen to the recording. And I always provide really, really affordable upgrade packages so that you can get the recordings. And we always have a lot of special bonuses that we are going to have this time as well, so that you can really keep especially the meditations that each speaker provides, and continue working with these energies on your own. So it's really all about the practical use and seeing a real change in your life and in how you feel and in how everything unfolds for you. So that's the purpose of it all.
So here's an interesting question. When we talk about a telesummit like this, where we have everything from dragons to saints to flowers, are there some people who will naturally connect with one sort of energy and not feel drawn to another? Is that how that works?
Yes, and that's one of the beautiful parts about it. What I hear from people is, gee, I never thought of dragons, but I loved that hour I spent learning about it. And during the meditation, I was surprised at what I experienced. So sometimes people will be really into angels and they'll come to listen to that. But because they're interested in that, they'll be introduced to something else that is kind of calling to them as well. And on the other hand, there's so many different beings there around us wanting to support us. I always suggest to people that they just start with the one that they feel the strongest connection to right now already. And if you can just create a relationship with the beings that you're already most connected to, that will create a huge change in your life.
Fabulous. Fabulous. So tell us, when does this telesummit start?
Well, it runs from November 11th through November 22nd. We got some really great dates this time. So it starts Monday, November 11th.
Wow. So that's Mercury has gone direct. We've got 11 to 22, those two great master numbers.
Yes.
And it's all over by the time your relatives come for Thanksgiving.
That's the plan.
Well, that just sounds fabulous, Kim. And I'm so grateful to you for making these sorts of wonderful things available to us, and also for taking the time to celebrate Samhain with us here on Christiana's Psychic Cafe.
Oh, thank you. It's always such a wonderful time of year for me, so it's great to be sharing it with you.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to having you back here again really soon.
Thank you.
And that's our show. I want to thank everyone who participated. I want to thank all of you watching. I'll be back next week with a live show featuring tarot author James Rickliff. We're very excited about that. In the meantime, please remember that tomorrow, Monday, November 4th at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, is another edition of Global Tarot Circle. That's a free tarot webinar for people who are interested in tarot. Doesn't matter if you're a brand new beginner or a seasoned professional. We have a great time together. That's Monday night, November 4th. Go to my website for more information about Tarot Circle, about other great events I have coming up, to sign up for my weekly e-newsletter, and to find out how to book a phone or Skype reading with me.